I've got 2 minutes to finish, so in 1932, a pastor wrote a very nice prayer that we use often, and there's some pointers on what you can do to deal with your mental illness. It says like this: God give us the grace to accept in serenity the things that cannot be changed, courage to change the things which should be changed, and the wisdom to distinguish them from the other, one from the other. I'm sure you have heard of the Serenity prayer.
Yes.
Right. It was written in 1932 by Pastor Reinhard Niebuhr. Yeah? So, this prayer is a beautiful prayer, as far as I can tell. And what you want to do in your life is try to distinguish the things that you can control and things you cannot control. Pay less attention to things you have no control over. You have no control over the mistakes you made in the past. You have no control over what happened in the past. You have no control over who your parents are and their mistakes and whatever they do. And the things that you hate that they do, you have no control over that. But you have the control over yourself and your attitude. And you need courage to do that, because sometimes we are lazy and we want to give excuses. And the wisdom to know the difference. And the prayer continues. Sometimes we're used only to say the first part. But the prayer continues to say, living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardship as a pathway to ease, taking as seriously this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it, trusting that you will make all things right if I surrender to your will, that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with you forever in the next. And the church says amen.
Amen.
So be ready to fight back. So number one, I would say, kindly if you can, and you can because you can walk. The simplest exercise you can do is walk. So please exercise, and as much as you can afford, because I know we live in Kenya, as much as you can afford, eat a good diet. You know? As much as you can afford. Because I know I don't want to simply tell you, eat a healthy diet and things are thick. Sure. Things are thick. But sometimes a good number of us would rather have airtime and data than good food also. Sure. You have 20 shillings. Instead of buying something healthy, you gotta buy data or airtime to bother someone who does not want to be bothered. Unhealthy body, unhealthy mind. A healthy heart, unhealthy soul, not here. Number two, talk to a friend or to a professional. Okay? So, talk to someone. Speak it out. There is nothing wrong in saying I'm depressed or stressed or something like that. There's no shame in that. And we need to get rid of that shame of, I am depressed, I'm going through something rough. And if someone comes to tell you that they're going through something difficult, listen. Stop telling them about how depressed you are. It was not your story. And that's the problem of sometimes you go to listen to speak to someone and they don't listen to you. They start telling you about themselves, or they hijack your story, or they don't care, or they pick a phone call right in the midst of the most emotional part and then they speak for 15 minutes. Can you imagine? You are telling someone something that's difficult, and they simply pick up the call, speak for 25 minutes, they are laughing. Even when you pick up a phone call, have the courtesy to say to your neighbor or whoever it is, excuse me, let me pick this call. So mnaongea tunachukua kisimu na mnaenda mnaanza. Manners are free. So I know Kenya is expensive, but manners are free. Don't blame Uhuru for your love of manners. Okay. Write down the things that bother you. And you can write and burn the paper. You don't even have to keep it. This is what we call journaling. You can sit down when you're going through something rough out. Terrible memory, take a full scalp. Write as many things as you can remember about that memory, and then burn it. Then when it comes again, do the same thing. Write again. Over time, it becomes easy to handle if you don't want to speak to someone. But the first option is speak. Practice gratitude. Things are bad, yes, but they could be worse. Okay? Things are bad. I don't disagree, but they could be worse. What? Okay. They could be worse. So one thing that you can do is every other day sit down and say, what are the things that I'm grateful for? Yes, my father is a horrible human being, but what is one thing that he is good at? What is the one thing that I can focus on? My mom, my siblings, my own life. What is that something that I'm grateful for? That is helpful. It helps you to get less stressed. Practice delayed gratification. This is basically self-control. Don't do the first thing that comes to your mind. You know? Don't get addicted to anything as far as I can tell. Whether it is drugs or sex or pornography. Practice delayed gratification. Okay. Be assertive. Learn to say no. Stop being a pleaser. You know you have work to do, but every time the phone is there. You know? Every other second, you study for 5 minutes. Nobody's texting me yet. That's part of delayed gratification. Huh? It's part of delayed gratification. When I am studying, because of course as a lecturer I have to study a lot, but at the same time I am doing my doctorate, so I also have to study for that. So what happens is I've got to, you keep your phone away and you focus. And you say, well, no, it's not Instagram every few seconds. You know, so learn to say no, and also learn to say no to your friends also. And let me tell you one thing, if you have good friends, they don't make you do things that you don't want to do. That's a very good sign that you don't have good friends. If you're constantly feeling you have to keep up and do whatever they want to do, otherwise you'll be excluded. That is not friendship at all. A friend is someone you can say, I don't enjoy doing that, and they're okay with that, and they respect that. A friend is someone you can tell good things that are happening to you, and they are happy for you. They actually take time to be happy for you. And the same thing is true when something bad is happening. And men, we need to learn this. You have the boys you laugh with, you drink with, you go partying with, but they don't know the demons you're carrying. And you're too scared to tell them. You want to be a man, always, constantly. Okay, so pray, trust and obey. It's very, very essential. Mwachie Mungu sometimes, almost all the time. Take your sleeping time seriously. For real. Like, oh my goodness, I don't know how much I can emphasize this. Take your sleeping time seriously. Have an hour, you need to have an hour that you go to bed, and an hour you wake up. Not today is at 2 a.m. sleeping, then tomorrow at 8 a.m., 8 p.m. You know, like this. Your body has what you call a circadian rhythm. And the circadian rhythm is wired across the 24 hours. Okay? And what that means is your body has adapted evolutionary to live according to those 24 hours. So the moment you keep sleeping and waking up at any other time, that's enough to set up a depressive episode. Okay? So think about that and take it seriously. And finally, create a compelling vision for your future. What today is suffering. That's the last point I would want to say. Where do you see yourself in 10 minutes? Where do you see yourself? How do you see your son or daughter looking at you 20 years down the line? With pride or saying, what happened to mom? You know, we think we are going to be very different from our parents until we become parents and we become exactly or worse than our parents. So if you are not very careful, that father of yours who you don't know where he is or you're not proud of him, you will become precisely that. Or you will marry a man exactly like that. So be very careful. Our brain is not something that we are very free to control. We tend to marry people who treat us like our parents did. That's why if you, take for example, if you do not have a good, if you didn't have a very good relationship with your father, one good sign of that is when relationships barely work. Especially the girl, no? And even, yeah. So there is something we call attachment. Maybe we can discuss about that later because my time is up. But when we grow up in families that we are not loved right, we are not given healthy discipline, it reflects in our future relationships often. If your father was not a very regular church goer, especially boys, they reduce church a lot. Okay, religious commitment. If you go to prison, not saying you get arrested, no. But there's something fascinating in psychology that a majority, almost 6 in 10 or 7 in every 10 prisoners, male prisoners, if you ask them one thing they have all in common is that they didn't have fathers or they had terrible fathers, or they had absent fathers. If you ask young girls who started sexual, their periods early, a good number of them, or they started sexual activities early, same reason. They have one thing in common: terrible fathers, absent fathers, poor relationship with their fathers. So fathers play a huge role. And that's one thing that I really sometimes have trouble with the Black Lives Matter movement. Because in the 1970s and 80s, the US government started this project, the welfare system, where if you're a single mother, you get this fund. You get money to support yourself and your children. Welfare, as they call it. But on condition you had to be a single father, single mother. So what do you think happened? The black family in the US really collapsed over time. Because women realized the only way they could get some of this money is if they were single. Yeah, really. So why should I stay with a man who is not providing for me? Say, better start a divorce so they can access the fund. I mean, it makes sense. It's not completely selfish. And so what happens over time, and we know this, is that the more you have children growing from single parent families, the more you have trouble. And so you have increasingly black men meeting police more often for a system that was started by the government itself. And then you claim racism. You know? So, well, there is racism, I'm not saying there is not. But you have to look at the whole picture, you know? Okay, anyway, so I want to thank you for listening to me today, for my blabbering. And I hope at least something that I've said has been helpful. One question this side, then we close. Fair enough? Yeah. Any question? Kuna swali? Hakuna swali. Watu wameelewa? Don't be. Stop. Hamjalewa. Okay. Jioni inakuja. First part will come. La leo. Oh yeah. Please. Okay. Sit upright. All of us, let us sit upright. Sit upright. Sit upright. Your backbone straight. Your feet firmly on the ground. Your hands on your thighs. Okay. Your back, your head straight. Okay. And I'm going to take you through a mindfulness meditation that you can do when you're feeling anxious, when you're overthinking. Okay. So if you don't want to do it, it's up to you. But if you're not, but don't bother someone who wants to try. Okay, so silence now and close your eyes. Just want you to listen to my voice and follow my instructions. Take 7 deep breaths, breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. Don't make any noise as you do that. Pay attention to your breath. Just be aware of your breath leaving your nose, the warm air leaving your nose, and the slightly cold air as you breathe in. Just be aware of that. Bring to your awareness any kind of noise you're picking from around. Just be aware of it. I will be aware that it is there. You're not judging it. Just it's there. Focus on any sensations around your head and imagine yourself relaxing, letting it go. Focus on any sensation around your neck, any tension around your shoulders, and relax. Relax yourself. So moving, slightly relax. Droop your shoulders. You're remaining seated on the ground. Be aware of any sensations, any tensions around your chest area. And imagine yourself relaxing. Any tensions around your arms, elbows. Be aware of any sensations around your stomach. And focus as you breathe in and out. As your stomach rises up and down as you breathe, just be there, non-judgmentally, just present. If your mind goes away to something else, just bring it back quietly. Don't force yourself. Bring back your thoughts to the present moment. Be aware of the sensations of your hands resting on your thighs, on your lap. Just be aware of your hands touching your lap. Don't move them, just be aware of the sensation. Be aware of your sitting posture, all the different places the bench is touching your body. Just be aware of that you're touching the bench that you're seated on. Be aware of your shoes, of your feet inside your shoes. And be aware of your feet touching the floor. Just be aware of that. Examine any tension in your body and imagine yourself relaxing. Repeat over and over again slowly, I am at peace. In your heart, quietly, I am at peace. Repeat that often, I am relaxed. I am content. I am relaxed. If your thoughts goes away, just come back. Repeat slowly over and over again. Jesus, you are my peace. Jesus, you are my peace. Just repeat that in your heart. Breathe in and out. Focus on your breath again now. As you breathe in and out, focus on your breath. Deep breaths 5 times and then open your eyes. Good. How does it feel? Do you feel a bit relaxed? Nice. So that's what we call mindfulness. And it's so relaxed you can sleep. the